That's so good.
That is amazing. Look how juicy that is. Oh, y'all are missing out not eating chicken. I guess we better go share with the kids. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura, and today we are gonna make chicken. I think chicken is really underrated on a carnivore diet, and this is the perfect recipe because it's one that is carnivore friendly and it's easily adaptable to be keto and standard American diet friendly. It actually was a recipe that we have been making long before we were carnivore, but there were some ingredients in it that just didn't fit with our new way of eating. So I've swapped those out, recreated it, and we're gonna make it together today. For this recipe, we are gonna be using chicken breasts, eggs, shredded cheese, pork rind crumbs, and bacon. And stay tuned to the end because we're gonna make a carnivore-friendly ranch dressing for dipping. While I am prepping and cooking everything, I am drinking my Element electrolytes. I do intermittent fasting every day, so I usually start my morning with having 1 pack of the unflavored electrolytes, which are just sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And then on the rare occasion that I do an extended fast, I would add a 2nd packet throughout the day. My husband also does some intermittent fasting, and he incorporates the flavored versions during his fast as well, and really enjoys starting his morning with the chocolate caramel in his iced coffee. I notice a big difference in myself and in my sleep, especially when I'm not getting enough electrolytes, because I oftentimes will get leg cramps or have those like Charlie horses that wake me up in the middle of the night. But if I'm keeping consistent with my electrolytes, I don't have any of those issues. Element is sponsoring this video, and they have a deal for all my subscribers where you can get a free sample pack with any purchase. You can try all their flavors, see which one you like best, and see if you have any improvements or feel better incorporating it into your daily life. If you want to try that free sample pack, you can go to drinkelement.com/LAURAESPATH and check it out. I haven't even started and I already just spilled something all over myself. Okay, this is one of those perfect recipes that is adapted so easily depending on who you're feeding and how many people there are. Most of the time I use the chicken breast tenderloin strips just because then I get a lot of good coating on the outside and they actually cook so much faster. I throw them in the air fryer and it takes 10 minutes. If you are feeding a larger group of people or you want less of the coating on it, chicken breast works just as well. And you can put them in a pan and do them in the oven, and then you're able to feed like a lot of people. We are gonna do both versions today, and you know, with, I don't know, chicken and then like mixing all this stuff with my hands, I gotta use at least 1 glove so I don't get all this gunk under my fingernails. I think chicken breast gets a bad rap, but I think it's because most of the time we overcook it or we're not adding cheese and bacon. That always can make things more delicious. Chicken is one of those really great things that you can stock up when it's on sale. I got this value pack for $3.99 a pound. And then if you're crushing up your own pork rind crumbs in a food processor or just with a spatula and a bag, and you're shredding your own cheese and making your own bacon crumbles, this ends up being super budget friendly. I am taking all the shortcuts today, and we are using pre-made cheese, bacon, and pork rind crumbs. I just get the pre-made pork rind crumbs from Amazon. This is the Porking Good brand, and if you don't eat pork, you could swap that out with some Parmesan cheese. Also, if you're dairy-free, I'm sorry, but maybe adding some more seasonings and still using pork rind crumbs would give you a little bit of texture and crunch. I have my assembly line here ready to go, and I'm gonna start by just seasoning my chicken. Don't miss this step. I'm not gonna go really heavy on the salt because the cheese and the bacon and the pork rinds all has salt in it, but you definitely will notice a difference if you're not getting some salt right on this chicken. And then depending on whatever you can tolerate or your health, you could add some other seasonings as well. I didn't really measure our toppings, but we're just gonna start with a small amount because I can always add more, but I don't want it to be wasted. So we're gonna get the chicken really coated in an egg mixture. Next up is gonna give us this crunchy coating with some shredded cheese, and it doesn't really love to stick on here very well, so you gotta give it a good little pat. And then we are going to coat it in our pork rind crumbs. Once it's in the pan as well, you can always pat a little bit more of that topping on there. Okay, and chicken breast number 2. You could also use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but those are just so good on their own and they're so much fattier that I don't use them for this recipe, and I tend to stick to white meat chicken. So here I have my chicken, my meat thermometer's in it, my pork rind and cheese, and then we are gonna put those bacon crumbles, a healthy amount of bacon on top of it. Any coating that's left over, you could just kind of throw it on top and treat it more like a casserole. And one crucial step in this recipe is making sure you don't overcook your chicken. So I put my Bluetooth meat thermometer in here so I can keep an eye on the temperature. Chicken is safe to eat when it's a final resting temperature of 165, which means you don't want to pull it out of the heat at 165. We got to account for carryover temperature, which I've talked about in other videos. The Bluetooth thermometer allows you to keep an eye on the temperature from an app, so you're not having to constantly open the oven, poke it, or I know some of you are guilty of just cutting your chicken open to see if it's pink or not. And then if you're like my mom, you're just gonna cook it an extra 20 minutes just to make sure that it's done. That's why you don't like chicken breast, okay? We are gonna make sure it is nice and juicy by not overcooking it. So now I'm prepped and it's ready to go into a 400-degree oven. Chris and I are gonna eat those big juicy chicken breasts, but the kids actually like this more in the form of chicken tenders. I'm gonna use a little less coating so that I can rotate them in the air fryer and they're gonna get a little crispier. And they can eat them more like a chicken strip. If you don't like this white strip that is sometimes a little tougher running through your chicken, I saw this hack where you just take a fork and pull it right out. You could use an air fryer liner or put some foil down, but I wouldn't flip them over if you do that. The bottom is just gonna not get as crispy, but you're not gonna risk ripping everything when you're trying to flip it halfway through. For the air fryer, I'm gonna wait and put the bacon crumbles on at the last minute just because these are already cooked and the air fryer gets like a lot hotter and I don't want them to burn. While all this is cooking, I'm gonna make a super quick ranch dip that Penelope and I love to dip our chicken into, and I'm gonna use some sour cream. I'm gonna thin it out with a little bit of milk, and then I'm just gonna dump in a little bit of the Flavor God ranch seasoning, which has 0 carbs, and it's perfect for us. It's super clean enough for us. And then I kind of just add them and mix it around until I get the consistency that I want. After it's been about 7 minutes, I'm gonna flip this over just to help them get crispy on all sides. And then sometimes as you're flipping it, you lose a little bit of that topping. So if you have any left over, you could kind of just add some at this point. And this is when I'm gonna add my bacon crumbles. These took about 12 minutes for me. However, it's gonna depend on how thick your chicken is. So make sure you're using your meat thermometer. You can pull them off about 155 and the carryover temperature will finish them at 165. It took about 40 minutes, but the chicken is ready to come out of the oven. It needs to rest for about 5 or 6 minutes. So while that's happening, we'll test the air fryer version.
You ready, babe?
Okay, here we go, final test. Chris would never use ranch in a million years, but Penelope and I love it.
That's so good.
That is amazing. I'm cutting this up for the kids and it's so tender. I'm just cutting it with a butter knife. Seriously, how good does this look? Since I'm carnivore, I would eat this next to a steak and that way I can get some variety in my meal. But you know, you could easily pair this with broccoli if you like vegetables, or a salad, or have it with some rice. And everybody then can enjoy this amazing chicken with whatever side works best for them. And we are at our perfect final resting temperature of 165 degrees. This thing is going to be juicy and tender. Look at this. Amazing. I honestly don't even think there's that big of a difference between the oven and the air fryer. The oven just lets you cook a lot more at once. What do you think?
It's really good.
You gonna sit down? She likes my ranch even too.
It tastes like there's breading on, like actual breading on it.
Yeah. Oftentimes when you hear about the carnivore diet, it can seem like people just eat steaks all the time. And I love that about carnivore. It is really simple. But if you're missing some variety or some kind of comfort food, or you're just wanting to feed a bunch of people that aren't all strict carnivore, this is a great way to do it. If you have questions for me or you need community support, you can come find us on Locals. Thanks for watching.